Probably heard of using Ozempic and Wegovy to help with weight loss. But new Virginia Tech research now suggests these GLP-1 drugs, as they're called, may also delay alcohol's effects and make people feel less intoxicated after a drink. We have Dr. Alex DeFelicia Antonio joining us now in the studio to explain what her team found and what it could mean for those looking to reduce their alcohol use. Great to have you on the show. This is fascinating research you have.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people are talking about these weight loss drugs. A lot of people are losing weight. But what made you decide to study the effects of these drugs on alcohol use?
Yeah, so my colleague and I, the late Warren Bickel, were actually at a faculty retreat. We were just talking, and we had started to see some early studies and some early case reports of people reporting, hey, when I take these drugs, I drink less. And we got really interested and just wanted to understand how this might be happening, why this might be happening, and really wanted to start doing our own work in this area.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard of people who have been taking these drugs to reduce their food intake, say that the food noise that they usually hear is turned off. So tell me how you conducted this research.
Yeah, so we brought people into the lab. We brought people who were either taking these drugs or not as a control group, and they came into our bar lab. We have a kind of fun lab that looks a lot like a bar.
Oh, that is fun.
But for science.
Okay.
And we had them drink for science. And so they came in and they drank a standard drink that was calculated for them, so that everybody should be getting to the same amount of blood alcohol, same amount of breath alcohol. And then we did a breathalyzer, so the same way that you might measure breath alcohol if you've ever done a breathalyzer test. But then we also asked people, how do you feel? How intoxicated do you feel? How drunk do you feel? So we had both a physiological measure in their body as well as how they were experiencing the effects of alcohol.
And so what did you learn?
Yeah, what we learned was really interesting. And so people, we already knew that people were reporting that they were drinking less. There had been some trials showing that people were drinking less, but we didn't understand how. And this gives us a little clue as to how, because what we found is that there was this slowed rise in breath alcohol. So you would drink the drink, and even though the group on the GLP-1s and the control group drank the exact same amount, they had this slowed rise in breath alcohol that went along with less feelings of intoxication, this kind of slowed rise of feeling drunk. So it really changed how people felt immediately after they were drinking.
So what do you think is going on here? I mean, is it that the GLP-1s is like stopping the brain from feeling intoxicated, do you think? Or what's exactly happening?
So there's probably a little bit of both, right? Something happening in your brain, but our study actually points to something that might be happening in the body. So GLP-1 receptor agonists are known to slow gastric emptying, which just means they slow how fast what's in your stomach gets to your intestines.
Okay.
And alcohol is really poorly absorbed in your stomach, but it's absorbed really well in your intestine. And so if you slow that down, you're actually slowing how fast the alcohol is getting into your blood and therefore to your brain to even have its effects. And so it might be slowing down something in the body, which is then slowing down your experience of the drug.
So do you think ultimately that these drugs could help somebody who maybe has an alcohol problem stop drinking?
Yeah, I mean, alcohol use disorder is it's a very serious condition. We have some pharmacological treatments, but relapse is still really common. And so it would be great if we had another tool, if clinicians had another tool in the toolbox, right, to reach for to help people drink less. We don't quite have the data, and so our study was a small pilot. There are other kind of larger randomized controlled trials, and even there, as a scientific body, we don't quite have the data to do that yet, but we need to keep doing the research so we can find these treatments to help people.
Okay, I was going to ask you, what's next then? I mean, what's the next stage in your study?
Yeah, so we're still in the kind of planning phase for the next step for the GLP-1 receptor studies, but what's always going on in my lab is we're looking at how what you eat affects your brain. So if anyone's interested in that and coming to join us in the lab as a participant, you can go look at our lab website and see how food affects your brain.
Okay, so what kind of people are you looking for? Just anybody, any age group? group? What are you looking for?
Yeah, really anyone. We have a couple different studies with them doing different inclusion-exclusion criteria, and you can learn about them and kind of see pictures of the different types of procedures that we do all on the website.
That is fascinating stuff. All right, so if we want more information, we can go onto your website. We have a link over on our website as well. You can just go to wdbj7.com, but you can sign up for, all sorts of studies and just fascinating research. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about it.
Thank you so much for having me.